Fishing was another one.
Fishing was another one.
That's how me and Shabba met.
Really?
Literally.
Stop it.
I swear to God, that was in lockdown. I knew he was into carp fishing.
Explain to me the talk on Pondside. How did this even come about?
So me and Tans, we linked up during lockdown, and then we both discovered we both were flat out into carp fishing. And then he was like, "Oh, you know Shabba? Like Shabba likes going fishing and stuff." He's like, "A few artists do." So when me and Tans were fishing around the lake, we were like, "Do you know what? We should do this with like a bunch of artists, because we've got nothing better to do, and we should try film it or make something of it." So I think Tans hit up Shabba, and we were like sort of going over an idea with him. He loved it, and then we ended up linking up, going fishing together. I don't even think he knew we MC'd, like at the time. And then I think we'd gone on like a 3-day fishing trip somewhere. And it was in the morning. I mean, he was sat there spitting bars or whatever. And I literally just cut across him and started emceeing. And he was like, "Hey?" He was like, "Bro, you're like, I didn't know you even MC." He said, "I sort of knew," but he was like, "I didn't know you were that sort of good." And then we were just chatting over the phone every other day, planning out the rods, reels and bass thing we started. I was rolling with Chunky at the time. And me and Chunky were coming up with an idea of wanting to start a label which supports solely vocal artists for drum and bass.
Yeah.
There's labels for producers everywhere.
That's right,
and there's no labels for a singer or an MC or someone where they can get looked after by a label. So we were he wanted to set up Eternal Music, a different side for that. So we were explaining that to Shabs over the phone, and he was just like, and then I remember I mentioned something about, I was like, "Oh, you boys should do a higher level mix, you Swifter and Chunky, in dedication to Storming." And he was just like, "Let's just bring higher level back." And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Yeah, let's just bring it back." And then it sort of just snowballed from there then.
Wow, ain't that something?
But yeah, literally it was all down to fishing.
Killa Kela podcast. KillaKelaOfficial.com.
Street Culture TV.
Beatbox created.
Killa Kela.
And we're here to talk about world music and street culture.
Killa Kela podcast.
Goes into limp mode every now and then.
Oh, ready?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Killa Kela podcast, live and direct, central London, or as central as you could be, should be. You don't want to be anywhere else. You deserve this. This is part of your culture, part of your DNA. And if you want more of that DNA, then you go and find all the 500 plus podcasts we've got in the archive, all playlisted out, ready for your consumption and the spreading of love and joy across all the genres. Okay, people, our sponsors, the mighty GK Nifty Heads, have 10,000 play-to-earn Graph Punks NFTs to give away. Get ready as London's white trash goes blockchain digital with Bitcoin Cash tokens locked into them to claim. Get yourselves over to the website gkniftyheads.com and play to earn now. Inside the house. My goodness, Wells is in the place. This gentleman is making more moves and pans, people. To name a few collaborations, Shabba, all across the board, with more recent ones we can't really talk about, but it's going to be a pop-tastic, amazing fucking hit if he has his way. Cardiff is in the place. The mighty Endo, how are we, my brother?
Big up, my bro, you good, yeah?
I'm good. How to explain your trajectory right now? Because it really is about to go somewhere else pretty soon. I just feel it.
Hopefully, bro, hopefully, yeah, man. The live side of things, I've sort of stepped back just to sort of, well, I'll say I didn't have no decision in it, as you know, as an artist yourself, it goes up and down. But to be fair, it's been a sort of blessing in disguise, where it's given me that time where I can just sort of harness my sound better and start like focusing on the studio side of my career more than just going out and every weekend, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah, how much is that? It's interesting you say that, because I thought long and hard about this over my own career, and I think sometimes you've just got to be ready with the ebbs and flows. Yeah. You've got to be ready just to react, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Like, well, you don't decide on when things are going to start doing well or go up and down. Like, so it's always that, like, you just got to be right, bagged, packed, ready, and to go straight out the door, if that makes sense. Like,
it's quite nerving, isn't it? It's unnerving.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, yeah, it is. For me, it's like I got a good thing of putting things at the back of my mind until I actually walk through the door, and then when I'm there, I'm like, "Oh no, I wasn't prepared for this." That makes sense. And then, I don't know. I was like similar when I went studio on the weekend with a massive grime pioneer producer. I grew up listening to. Got tunes like Bugsy Malone, Stormzy, gets.
Mm-hmm.
I've walked in the studio with my boy Sean. And
Big up, Sean.
And it's just plaques on, all these plaques on the wall, Rita Ora, Bugsy Malone, Bugsy Malone, Bugsy Malone, Stormzy. I'm just stood there and I was just like, right, everything, the realisation hits. And I'm like, wow, I'm in the studio about to make a tune with this producer.
That's crazy.
And then couldn't do my verse. And I kept something I've got, I could probably go on stage and lay straight away. And I was just like, rap, getting tongue-tied doing this. And then I'm like, I got bad ADHD, so like I'm just start doing and making stupid noises down the mic. They're looking at me like, who the bloody hell's this kid just coming
But
here?
the one is, you know full well what's going on in your head and you can normally execute. But then people around you are kind of, patting you on the knees saying, it's okay.
Yeah, it makes it even
worse.
worse.
Let me help
then.
you. We can help you. I know what I'm doing. This is quite intense,
Yeah, literally. And it wasn't like it was like, I was in a vocal booth away from him. It's like, you don't have to do that these days, is it? It's just a little thing. He's there, I'm here. He's like, you right, mate? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine. Panic. Yeah, bruv, we've all been there too many times.
Yeah, so I think that side of things, when you're saying is like nervous, I think that's like, it always catches me off guard, if that makes sense. So I sort of like fool myself, like, yeah, you don't get nervous. And I'm like, and it's another similar one. Going back about 2 years ago, on my birthday, Westfest, main stage. Gone there, it was my birthday, so I'm like, oh, have a couple of drinks. So you've done 100 of these sets before, and then I walked out, it was just getting brought out by SASS, walked out on stage, and I was like, okay, yeah, this is insane. There's like the whole of main stage Westfest, back to front to back. I was like, oh yeah. Walked back behind the little lighting thing, legs quaking, like gripping water, like, right, sober up. Like,
yeah.
I'd like too drinks just because you don't realise, it's just blast again, just hiding your nerves.
Yeah. And just, going back to what I was saying about Shabba being advocate, SAS have really, they champion new talent. And certainly in your case, they've been, complete advocates of your career and trajectory. But how much of that is bravado? Like, as an MC, particularly around your peers, you can't afford to be like,
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh,
hard,
to be fair, I told Shab straight away. I was like, oh yeah, I misjudged our big. Then he just goes and laughs. Shabba to me. You're alright, bro.
Yeah, that's right. Oh man, if Shabba turned around and go, you're alright, bro, then I'm alright immediately.
Yeah, and that's standard.
I'm like, yeah, fuck, actually,
but
everything.
He got to think he's 30 years deep, innit he? So he sees anything. So he's all just smiling, isn't he, with his little smiley face.
Do you think if you kind of got to that? Not Shabba specifically, because I think all of us age disgracefully, well, especially me, but, Shabba seems to have a graceful age in what he's doing, and a knowing one. Do you think that it ever leaves somebody, though, as an artist, that kind of anxiety? Because there must be something that triggers Harry or Shabba or any one of those guys to feel a little bit, whoa, this is quite a lot, isn't it?
I think, what do you mean by that now? But as in overwhelmingness with the, The one time I sort of, like, when you see him in raves and stuff and then all the ravers there, you expect it. But then I think the one main time I realised how big Shabba was is we were walking through Notting Hill Carnival together to get on the Rampage stage. And you've got that big, massive street going down. And we didn't come from the back end to go underneath the little stage bit. We come around the front bit. And he was just like, put his sunglasses on, head down. He was like, bro, we just got to push our way through here. And he literally couldn't, in the end, he was like, put his hood up, put his head down, because people were like, Shabba. And this is this random, like, you think Notting Hill is more dancehall and thing, but, like, for him to be even noticed in the street by just, like, most people would just probably look at him and look past because you wouldn't really not clock, but, like, people are like, yo, pointing out to him and...
Crazy,
bro. Like, that for me, I was like, right, you are actually, like, he's a pioneer, bro.
Yeah, he's a proper superstar.
Of the UK scene, like.
Yeah, without question. There's some people you can hang around with, like Skinny Man's another one.
Oh, bro, yeah,
Imagine me skinny going into Cardiff. It's like, you might as well just have your hand out the whole time, shaking hands. It's like that, extended.
I think it's learning to live with it, though, isn't it? I think they're so. I think it was different back then because you got to imagine they were big before Facebook, phones, and like we had phones, but like pages and stuff back then or whatever it was. But like they evolved with that time. So like if you got to like. Once they probably made their first Facebook, they were already sort of famous. So everyone already was typing in Shabba D on Facebook when they created Facebook.
Yeah.
Well, I want to follow him.
Yeah.
He's
you just could be on the cresp of it quick.
Yeah, they all. I think a lot of artists that are already big before the social media hype. I think the ones that got on it straight away were the ones that are sort of winning. But yeah, so as I was saying, they evolved with that.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So it's like, whereas now, if you're an artist that is not known and having to sort of cut through the social media hype and build something that no one else has sort of seen or done before you, I think that's the real hard part of a career these days.
It is, because even if you do create your own sandcastle, right, there's still the conventional portals that people prefer and insist watching things through.
Yeah.
That's really it's hard, isn't it?
Just knowing which ones, like you could put a video on Instagram and a video on Facebook, a video on TikTok, and the TikTok one goes there, and the other two's got 3 views, and you're like, well, how does this sort of work out?
It's all playing to the algorithm and what people watching and.
Well, it used to be. That's why, I read a status the other day. I can't remember who put it up, and he was on about bigging up a DJ, and he was like, I'd done a set with him on the weekend, and he took it back to real mixing. Real tunes. He didn't just play his own tunes. He played a selection of old, new, and his own tunes. And he's saying as an artist that this person is himself. He's not really got a big social media presence, but he's got that strive and the graft, and he's really, really talented. And he was like, and it's a shame that doesn't count no more, because back in the day, that's all you sort of really needed to have was the work rate behind the decks, the studio. To have the drive to be able to succeed and do it. But then you didn't have to take photos of yourself and write bloody paragraphs about this league, explaining what you're doing for the week, and filming yourself talking. I know it is good because you get an insight to a lot of people get to see sort of know their artist a bit more, or the person that they're following, whether it's an influencer or a boxer but
you know what, I've just had a brainwave, in light of clubs being on the receiving end of, being shut down, or maybe there's a lane for Airbnbs for clubs, like house parties.
wow, bro.
There's got to be enough abandoned houses or people with multiple houses.
What? You could just
It's Airbnb.
rent out the space and just throw your own rave.
Because everyone loves a house party.
Well, that's you just imagine that a kitchen room.
Yeah.
Just go and order the kitchen style setting party.
You know what I'm saying?
That'd be sick.
It'd be sick because it's fine having clubs and such, but
But then you've got to think of the safety behind it.
Or do you?
Well, unless the building's manned by security constantly,
perhaps. But then there's an argument that maybe it doesn't.
Yeah, but then you've
'Cause
got to
there's
think
only
of the
a
drug
certain
culture. Yeah, the good drug culture.
Like I said, every cloud. I'm not saying it's bulletproof.
Is a sick on pirate studios for clubs?
Yeah, basically.
Pirate clubs.
Yeah, basically, mini clubs. It's how you have
I saw they got them. They're like karaoke booths. Though they got those little sort of environments, but on a bigger scale, sort of this size room.
Yeah, exactly. Because nowadays you got to work with the nuances of what overall culture's doing socially. And what's happening right now is if you're a Michelin star chef, you're in trouble. If you're a photographer, you're in trouble. If you're somebody that owns a pub or a bar, you're in, you know what I mean? You're constantly trying to figure out, trying to sort out the world as you see it. And it's really fucking hard, isn't it?
Lockdown changed everything, I think, because of that. That's what's been the main cause and effect, I think, of that culture, the culture shock and everything dying, really.
Yeah.
The way someone explained it to me a couple of years back, well, just after lockdown, they were like, you've got to imagine, we've had 3 generations of 18-year-olds that have never gone out.
I think that all the time. It's true.
Do you mean they never got that first experience of going to a rave or getting dragged by one of their older brothers or sisters or siblings or friends? Oh, come and do this, or I want to go and do that. And then by the time that first 18-year-old's come out of lockdown, he's 21, 20.
Yeah.
He didn't get the interest then, and then he's
got
a bit more
uni,
grown
nothing.
up.
Yeah.
Do you mean they've been sat in lockdown for 3 years? They've probably got a job during lockdown, done this, made money. They think, I'm past that stage where I want to go partying. And I know a lot of them might have got into it, but I think that's in a lot of, not just saying our scene or whatever, but in a lot of aspects in life, I think that happened. And there's only a couple of sectors that really, really boomed in lockdown and gained from it. driving instructors were the ones that when they come out of there, you couldn't get a driving test. So
You money-making motherfuckers.
No, I'm telling
Very
you, I bet you all think of all those 17-year-olds that are trying to get driving lessons through lockdown. You couldn't just free generations.
People that weights,
Fishing
gym
was another
stuff.
one.
Fishing was another one.
That's how me and Shabba met.
Really?
Literally.
Stop it.
I swear to God, that was in lockdown. I knew he was into carp fishing.
Explain to me the talk
Oh,
on
right, so-
Pondside.
Oh,
How did
so-
this even
so
come
I'll tell-
about?
So me and Tans, we linked up during lockdown, and then we both discovered we both were flat out into carp fishing. And then he was like, "Oh, you know Shabba? Like Shabba likes going fishing and stuff." He's like, "A few artists do." So when me and Tans were fishing around the lake, we were like, "Do you know what? We should do this with like a bunch of artists, because we've got nothing better to do, and we should try film it or make something of it." So I think Tans hit up Shabba, and we were like sort of going over an idea with him. He loved it, and then we ended up linking up, going fishing together. I don't even think he knew we MC'd, like at the time. And then I think we'd gone on like a 3-day fishing trip somewhere, and it was in the morning. I mean, he was sat there spitting bars or whatever, and I literally just cut across him and just started MCing, and he was like, "Hey." He was like, "Bro, you're like, I didn't know you even MC." He said, "I sort of knew," but he was like, "I didn't know you were that sort of good." And then we were just chatting over the phone every other day, planning out the rods, reels, and bass thing we started. I was rolling with Chunky at the time, and me and Chunky were coming up with an idea of wanting to start a label which supports solely vocal artists for drum and bass.
Yeah.
There's labels for producers everywhere,
That's right,
and there's
yeah.
no labels for a
At all.
singer or an MC or someone where they can get looked after by a label. So
Yeah.
we were looking to. He wanted to set up Eternal Music, a different side for that. So we were explaining that to Shabs over the phone, and he was just like. And then I remember I mentioned something about. I was like, "Oh, you boys should do a higher level mix. You Swifter and Chunky in dedication to Storming."
Mm.
And he was just like, "Let's just bring higher level back." And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Yeah, let's just bring it back." And then it sort of just snowballed from there then.
Wow, ain't that something?
But yeah,
So
literally it was all down to fishing.
Wow.
Crazy, bro. Literally.
See, that is ingenuity right there. That is using your noddle.
It
Using.
weren't even like, "Oh, I'm going to start chilling with Shabba through fishing." It was just like, "Oh, he likes fishing. He could probably be in on this idea and start doing it." We made a lot of money from it, bro. We were renting out lakes and selling the swims. So people were like, fans that liked fishing and liked drum and bass were like, "Oh, I'm going fishing with my peer." And that was what we were selling, basically. Come fishing with Shabba and all.
So what happened to
and
this? What happened to this man?
When we come
It's
out of
fucking
lockdown.
genius, by the way.
Well, I know, we come out of lockdown and just sort of the booking started coming again. Dan started getting really busy. I started getting busy. We started focusing more on higher level side of things, and it's still there. It's just
Make it happen, man. That's fucking genius.
we've done loads of it. We've done a good few of them. To be fair, linked up with a few fishing brands and stuff.
You know, a lot of graph writers like fishing as well.
Loads of people do.
Loads of people do.
No, it's
I've
great.
never had the patience for it myself, but
Oh, but do you know what? When you can, I got severe ADHD, and I call myself a shark. I can't stay still for a long period of time. But that is literally the only time I can.
okay. So what's the theory behind this? What makes it a focus point for you? If you got that
It's just switching off from life.
Really?
Life.
So what do you talk
Everything,
about?
Just nothing. I'd sit there. I'd go fishing 3 days on my own.
But what do you do? I'm genuinely good.
Right. So like, it's different. All different types of fishing is all different. But like, some people call it lazy fishing, but it's just relaxed. You got more gear than
You
it
need.
is. So yeah, you got a nice bed.
Yeah.
You got your bivvy. You got all your stuff there.
Yeah.
People sign up. People take bloody TVs with them. But then it's once you've cast out, you're on the lake. It's freshwater fishing.
Got
so
you.
you're not sort of casting and reeling in. You cast out. You've got your little the rig that you set up that's going to catch you the fish. So you'll have your hook.
Yeah.
You pop up and then your leader and stuff and your lead. That does the work for you. So you have that on a bite lamb.
Mm.
So once the line starts going, the fish has picked up the bait. Your rod's going beep 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 beep. So you just get up, pick it up, you got your fish.
Really? Or did you cook it there and you have it for dinner?
No, it's not. It's just a sport. So you put them back, have a photo, put them back.
Oh, what? So you gauge it
Can't
on the
eat
weight?
it's carp, so you can't eat
Can't
carp.
eat
It's
carp.
illegal to eat carp.
Do you know people that have done?
Yeah, a lot of Eastern Europeans, and
Do
they love it. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Living on the edge, motherfuckers. Hey, look, no, right. So, just to be clear, so what do you gauge? This is really a human interest to me because I've never done fishing before. I know my cousins have done it once or twice. And I think I was dragged out one time, but I think I fell asleep. So the point you're making is you get the fish, you weigh it. That's a great weight. Happy days.
Have a photo.
Have a photo.
Look it over. See if it's got any cuts or bruises.
Nice fish.
If you have,
Throw it back.
if
Really?
you've got-
And then you
look after
clean
the
it up.
fish.
Really?
Yeah, put a little bit of carp care on there.
Stop it off. That's so cool.
Yeah, and then you put them back.
Oh, yeah, learn
But
something
you
new every
keep,
day.
it's like, say, like my cousin runs a lake down by my area. He's head bailiff, and he looks after the lake. It's not just like you're looking after the fish. The fish have got names. They're some fish are over 60, 70-year-old. So
Wow.
some people are catching fish they caught when they were a kid, and they're getting to see it grow.
Stop it.
Well, I watched a documentary. This one guy used to fish the Thames from Oxford all the way up to Camden,
Oh, yeah.
and these are all locks all the way going through.
Yeah.
He caught this fish in Camden Lock. He had a photo of it when he was really young, and then he'd done like a boat journey. It was like 2 days when he was young, like in his later life. He'd gone down to like Banbury Way in Oxford. He caught the same fish. 30 years later, it
Wow.
was double in size, but it had this distinct markings on it. When he's like, bloody hell, I've caught this fish. The fish had travelled through like a summing amount of locks, and it's taken in. So he's worked out that he's done this length of the Thames in this many years.
Wow.
Like crazy.
All of a sudden the penny dropped there because it is like if you see a piece on a freight train that you painted 3 years ago and it goes past your train station, you see it then. It's that kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just like I remember when I first started fishing the lake down with my cousins, I caught this fish, and then I remember about 3 years later I caught her again, and it was like double the size, double the thing. But I didn't even clock her first until I've had the photo, and then I'm like, hang on. Looking at the old one, I'm like, oh bloody hell, that's that fish there.
Yeah,
and you're like, wow, look how big he's gone, and it's a hobby really. And then
Yeah, makes sense. I get it.
it's just something that just takes you away from your normal worries and stresses in life, and it's just something that like you're around nature. You're being at one, sounds of birds, ducks, the water, wind.
Yeah.
You have your little stove, cook yourself a little bacon sandwich or whatever.
I love that you love it.
It's
fucking
amazing, mate. Honestly, and you can go.
It's
a couple
great,
of
isn't
days.
it? I love it.
Honestly,
I'm not.
if you haven't done fishing, go.
I've never had it explained to me. You know. I know it
It's
sounds
a lot
really
of different, like sea fishing
silly.
and stuff. It's different boat fishing and that. I'm not really into that.
Wow.
That's windy and cold and wet and actually fishy. Like,
What's Cardiff saying though?
what do you mean,
Musically, sport, culture. What's going on in Cardiff at the moment?
bro? It's going off down there at the moment.
Yeah.
Drum and bass wise, like I don't really get much love in my home city. Like I'm not nothing. I'm like, oh, I hate it or anything like that. I've just always really done well over the bridge. And it's sort of like the scene that I would come through was the jump up scene. It was never really massive in Cardiff. Cardiff's sort of the other side of D&B. They like the more hospital D&B arena or like that sort of vibe. But it's different now. It's changing. It's all, everyone loves the sort of mainstream side. But when I was sort of coming through, it was always that side. I was always getting booked in Bristol or wherever.
Yeah.
But now, musically, not just drum and bass. Honestly, I think Cardiff is due is little shine soon. I think you got like, at the minute, I don't know who's in the rap thing. You had Birmingham was doing smashing it for a bit. Then you have Manchester. And you have your little areas that they'll have that one person that gets discovered, and then
Killing
everyone's
it, yeah.
like, oh, well, let's have a look at all the other people that's around him then. And I think that's. Lokes is doing amazing from
Yeah, big
Cardiff
up
at the
Local.
moment.
Yeah, for
and obviously
sure.
Traumatic and been
Without
smashing it
question.
for ages.
Without question.
But I think there's a few good artists in Cardiff that are sort of underrated, underthing. And
Ready
once,
to
once, yeah, once I think they get their little opportunity to shine, I think people are going to be like, wow, okay. Because Wales has never really been looked at it like that, if that makes sense. We're so small. You think you've got, how many people in London, live in London? 9 mil?
Yeah.
Like 3 million in the whole of Wales.
Yeah, that's mad.
Do you mean?
But I always have like an affliction with Cardiff, Toucan, Club Eiffelbach.
Club Iverbach, yeah?
Yeah, that was my first
The
ever
Welsh
venue.
club.
First time I ever went and did a gig outside of England.
Do
So,
you know what? That's like got a big history in Cardiff. That club has. I think they've always done well in regards to supporting underground music and being able, even giving like underground artists their first headline show and stuff like that. I know they've always supported. Grassroots underground artists to sort of give them a shine and stuff, and events and stuff.
I remember the Headcase boys, the UK Welsh hip hop crew, Headcase with DJ Cuz. I remember them back in the day, and then I saw Asteroid Boys play their Club Eiffel back for the first time.
Okay.
So I know what you mean. It has a long history of
it's
of
like
that.
that's. I know you got a lot of them up here. I know like this. What's that one in Camden? Everyone goes to, and it's like really small, intimate, but a lot of big artists have sort of.
Oh, Underworld.
I think it's that one, yeah.
Yeah, the one that's in the basement. Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like that's Cardiff's version of that. If that makes sense.
It fucking is, absolutely.
I think that like where a lot of big artists that have come out of Cardiff, they probably have performed there first, or one of the. I've played there. Like I haven't played there recently, but years and years and years ago, that was. Yeah. Probably like the third or fourth venue I ever played in Cardiff. Wow. But yeah,
it's my favourite one, and you kind of spoil it when you go there first time because compared to any other club.
I haven't been there in years. They still got the middle, they don't just have like the middle floor and then the top floor. But I think they were going to go through renovation at one point. I don't know if they had it done or not. I think there was talks of like doing a big open plan thing, so like opening the middle bit up. I'm not too sure if they ever did or not. I don't think they did.
I love Cardiff, man. I love Cardiff. And the graph scene's great there. Just everything's it's nice.
Yeah, no. Okay. But everyone says that about their hometown. I love it, but it's got I don't know, there's not, like up here, like when we were just, I wish like we had places like this back home. I think it's not enough people are sort of, or if they do music, they're so in their bedroom still and there's not a big culture or not a big enough culture or enough people for it to have lots of studios that can flourish and lots of art places that can flourish. Even though, because it's just a small city, but...
But you mean proactiveness to want to kind of cultivate?
Do you get me? Like our pirate studios to shut down.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah, we don't have, literally, there's nowhere in the city to go for like DJs to go and practice now, or there's studios. Like there's literally, you got like one or two, what are the studios called? You got our one boy Hefty. He runs one out of the Container. But what are the ones? Is it Silk Crayon? Yeah, you got like two studios, one in Cardiff Bay and one down Canton. Silk Crayon. They're good, but other than that, I don't. They're all private. Yeah, you got they're all private. There's nothing really.
Yeah.
They're all like the government that'll go out and do this. Like, no schemes or nothing like that, is there? Yeah, all the
it's
youth
frustrating,
centres
isn't
got
it?
shut down and stuff like that. I heard of, so like it's not really nothing for the art culture at the moment. I think like a lot of the venues are shutting down as well. Like there's one venue we used to love, Buffalo. That's not open no more. Undertone, that's not open no more.
Do you think that's a problem that's kind of sweeping cities at the moment? Because London ain't too far off from that as well. Except with London, there's just so many people that don't give a fuck. Then it just kind of moves on to another place. Or
bro, this is a myth up here. I mean, everyone's in their own little bubble up here. That's what I found. Even like walking down the street, no one even like bats an eyelid at the next person.
Well, if you do, then you get questioned immediately.
Well, that's it. If you said like smile or said hello to someone, they're like,
what's the fucking problem? Yeah.
What? You what?
Yeah.
Like, you do that. Down my end is.
Chilled.
Oh, you're right. They're like, oh, you're right. Oh shit. And it's like stop and have a conversation with Gwyneth like in the street. Do you know what I mean?
Big up Gwyneth. Big up Gwyneth.
I know. R.I.P. Gwyneth.
Yeah, but you know what though? For real, that's what makes it refreshing to a Londoner going outside. Yeah. So all the woes that you're talking of is different.
Do you know what? It's similar. Like so, where I moved, I was recently living in Port Talbot, going back like a year or two ago, and one of my friends from Newport, which is sort of like a rough area. And he'd come down, we were walking a dog, and a woman was like, stopped. And I had two American bullies. They're not exactly the most friendliest looking dogs. They're friendly, but to the average old woman, they
might be something different, yeah.
Black dog, muscly. And she came up, oh my God, hello, blah, blah, blah. My mate was just like, what? Everyone just smiles and talks to you around you. I'm like, yeah, bro, it's not like, it's like, Raz, try smiling at someone around my area. They look at you funny.
Yeah, it's true.
Crazy. Why though? Why is that though? I
I don't know, man. I think a lot of it is culture clash, socially. Like, poor, upper, middle. all in
Nail
one
on the
tube.
head. Nail, I was going to say, my boy was just saying yesterday, he was like, it's mad. I was like, are we in a rough area or poor? He was like, well, bro, it's like, there's £1 million house there, and then there's a ghetto tower block there. He's like, so you tell me.
Yeah.
And I think that is, you're right. You think you're in such a small, confined space.
Yeah.
And they've all just, it's like you're an ant farm.
Yeah, but there's no excuse for arrogance, because there is that. I think there's this kind of self-status that people like to put on themselves, like, they weren't possibly going to say hello to anybody because who are you? They say there is a little bit of that.
Has it always been like it though? Do you remember your grandparents saying like, "Oh, we used to be able to say hello to someone in the street"? Because I think London's always just been moody.
Yeah, it's always just been moody. I think.
I think it's just like I don't.
Yeah, I mean, big up all my Londoners. I mean,
The best part is though, like,
I'm a
when you
moody
actually
person
get
as well.
down, when you get sat down, you actually get in conversation with them. They end up being like the safest person you've ever met. Like you're like, what?
Well, yeah, that's the thing, and I think a lot of it is bravado, just like kind of that. Facade, that's the word. Facade.
Everything's time. Yeah. Everyone's in a rush up here.
Everyone's in a fucking rush, and everyone's nervous.
Yeah. Well, you can't blame it really.
The stress levels.
It's not just that. It's like, it's a big culture shock for us when we come up here. Us little Welsh boys, and we come up to Wales, up to London. Like
Yeah.
But then, who said it last night? And you were not. Where you boys from? In Cardiff, yeah. I was like, yeah. He's like, yeah. What, just bare fields and that, is it? I was like, bro, is that a city? It's like, so it's like, if they come down to Cardiff, it'd probably be a culture shock for them, thinking, oh, hang on, well, where are all the sheep in the fields to? Do you know what I mean?
Right. So I'm just gonna put this out there, right? I remember the first times I went to Cardiff, right, and I'm Londoner. But I never felt more nervous being in the town centre dodging these bottle rockets and shit. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? Like, there's ladies out there with their miniskirts up to their stomachs and they are absolutely wrecked. There's
freezing cold.
Freezing cold. I mean, you gotta be fucking built to be out in Cardiff. I swear to God, I honestly was intimidated. Like, and I'm a placid like, honestly, like, it's a whole different city,
No,
Cardiff.
do you know what?
And big up Cardiff, by the way, because that, some stealth going on out there.
No, do you know what?
You feel me?
Do you know the girls are the worst in Cardiff that I find on a night out show? Do you reckon? They're just loud.
I saw this security guard pull this one All Bar One or whatever pub it was, and I saw this geezer got pummeled by the security guard, and that was as I got out the train station.
It's not that bad. I don't.
Well, maybe it's just my experience. Big up
I think
Cardiff.
Just there on a good night.
yeah. Maybe I was just having a
there
good
on a good night. Like, I think it's the same in every city, though, isn't it? And when you're not from there, you always get that rah.
100%.
This is nothing like back home, because you just always have that comfortableness of being where you're from. Do you get me?
Yeah.
Because
totally.
my mate says it all the time. Because I'm from a rough part of Cardiff, and then he's from a rough part of Newport, and I'm like, in my head, Newport's way rougher than Cardiff, and then in his head, he's like, no, it's not.
Really? Yeah.
I'm like, bro, it is. I'm like, you're all mad up there, and he's like, you're all mad. It's just everyone's always feels uncomfortable when they're not in a different place that they sort of heard things about, or do you know what I mean?
So like South London, West London, North London, it's the same thing. Yeah, that's right. You're always comfortable because your place could be the most dangerous place ever, but because you're aware of it,
and you're always there every day, is that self-awareness, isn't it? Or that's awareness of your surroundings. If you're always in this room every day, you're going to be the most comfortable in this room in your life if you spend the most time there, I think. So that's...
What's the roughest part of Cardiff?
I don't know, there's a big argument about it, I think.
Really?
What would you reckon, Sean? Roughest part of Cardiff?
Roughest part of Cardiff.
Depends, man. I say a lot of people will say Ely because it's like the biggest town.
Yeah, I'd say everyone thinks Ely. That's where I was born and raised, Ely. But everyone says it's the biggest council estate in Europe, known as, or it used to be, or one of the biggest council estates in Europe. So it's a big area and it's a shithole. So
really.
But then, I don't know, you go to some parts of like up by City Road and Tremorfa and all them. Yeah, it's just it's the same, innit? It's just, everywhere has the shitholes and everywhere has the nice parts. I wouldn't. I wouldn't like to say because I would say it's probably Ely because of the riots and stuff, though, bro.
Yeah.
So they have riots. You know what? You know why I ask is because in many respects it does pattern up with what is going on creatively. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
With restriction comes creativity. If you're in a impoverished area or you're in a hard place to
Rural area.
survival
yeah.
the fittest, creativity, get out dodge. You know what I mean? And this is something that you clearly have done and got your place. You know, yourself to a status.
It's mad, right? Because you say that, yeah. Like I think because I moved from the city down to the valleys at a young age, and then obviously it was just like back and forth.
Because you didn't grow up in the bricks. You grew up outside in the valleys.
Nah, so yeah, I moved to the valleys like when I was about 13, 14.
Okay.
And then I was back and forth, if that made sense. So
Okay.
like I had a culture shock when I moved up to the sticks.
I bet.
And then like I was MCing already, dressed different.
Yeah.
I was getting called wannabe black boy
Right.
because I was talking different. Oh, you're a wannabe gangster, because they were all just sort of happy hardcore. Carpets underneath their arms.
Wow.
Do you mean? So it was a big culture shock for me going the back and forth, if that made sense. And then like, because I MC'd and done the music, that was alien to them. If that made sense. I'm not saying because it's rough in the valleys, but they had a everyone just took drugs up there. That was the thing. I'd probably had a little drag of a spliff here and there when I was living in Cardiff, but I'd never even been introduced to drugs. Even though I was in a rough area, up there is like young kids taking pills, ecstasy, at speed, at really young ages. I was like, it was a big eye opener for me when I moved up there. But like like you said, with the arts and the culture thing, they didn't really have that up there. They weren't. You either took drugs or played rugby.
Yeah.
Because it's small little towns, and it was just pubs and stuff like that. You didn't really have. I think the odd one or two boys would be in like a rock band or a singer or something like that. But there was never like. You wouldn't have a break dance, a rap. There was never that street culture.
And nothing so aspiring to.
No, because that's like a city dominant thing, and then obviously it's spread now. This day it's worldwide now, so it's like more spread. But back then, I don't think it was like if in them places they listened to bloody like donk music and stuff. Do you mean? Proper like what was it, Blackout Crew and
Blackout
stuff.
Crew, yeah. What's it in Bad? Yeah, I know.
Well, it weren't really Bad
What are
Boy
they
Saluku because they're rappers, and they
are
still.
kind of
But it
rappers,
was, I think back then it was more like Dougal, Gamma, Hixie, all that sort of like dom vibe.
Oh, what a mad era for that kind of gabba hard.
Well, bro, that's how I actually got
Techno.
into drum and bass. Like, I was a
Really?
grime MC when I started. I weren't really into D&B, and then moved to the valleys. Sort of had no choice but to start liking that music, and then when I grew up, I started taking drugs and growing up, drinking, and you end up going raving. Like, my first rave was a bionic or hardcore rave. And then I remember one of my mates took me to, was it rave in London? One of my first proper D&B rave was Next Type in Vauxhall.
Really?
When I was like 18.
Wow. Nice.
I think for the Next Type 1 or 2, I think it was. Went there, seen X-Man on live for the first time. And I was just like, it was like raving and MCing in one. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
You can MC and rave, because like to me,
That's
grime
incredible.
raves was so back then. It was just like no one really. You didn't skank all day. Like obviously you had the things, but it was like you didn't get the vibe. You go raving and it's full on sweat. Bop, and then when I discovered drum and bass, I was like, wow, this is what I want to do, and I just ate, breathed, and shitted every day since that day. I swear to God.
What's the thing that they didn't tell you on the tin of drum and bass that you kind of wish you'd known? Positive and negative.
Right, do you want me to do first the negative or the positive?
Whichever you feel more
we're in with
comfortable
the bad
with.
one first, yeah? Never meet your peers. No, I'm joking. No, I can't say that. I can't say that because Shabba's my boy, man. I can't say that. But, no, what I weren't really ready for in drum and bass, there's a few, man. There's a few. Like, when you're an outsider looking in, you think, yeah, I'm getting to that, make loads of money, be a superstar. You get there, you're like, what, is this how much you're all bloody making? What are you all doing right? And then I remember it was like, he told me, and he was like, yeah, mate, you just picked the most lowest paid genre in the whole of music at the time. It was the lowest paid genre. He was like, yeah. I was like, oh, shit. But like, I was like, you can't choose what you fall in love with, sort of thing. So that was probably from I can't see the money side of things, but the long nights and the travel.
Brutal.
That's it. That's the worst side of it for me is the hours and hours on the motorways you spend and travelling. That's the one side of it. And then I'd say the plus is the travel. When you get on the plane. When you leave this shithole.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And you end up in a place where you're just like, wow, if only I told myself when I was 17. That
Bro,
this was-
and the people you meet, man, the people I would never have met, like the likes of you and shit like that. Like I would
bruv.
never, even this weekend, bro. I was to make sure, like this weekend has been come up here, and it was literally just based around to come and to do this.
Big
And then-
oh, come on, Killa Kela podcast, you know I do.
Literally, bro. Honestly, and I've ended up making 3 tunes since I've been up here.
That's incredible.
2 of them with like the biggest grime producer to ever come out, and then one of them being with another big massive grime artist that I've listened to for years and I didn't even know he produced. Ended up making this track last night, and yeah, like, bro, the tune's a banger.
But this is the future, and I kind of suggested this at the start. You give us some playback. What's going on in the future? What's going to happen? What's the future, Endo? What's going on?
Oh, do you know what? I can. When we releasing this?
Probably in about 2 weeks' time.
Sorry, yeah, don't worry. Nah, so about 2 years ago, 30 years of Shabba. My boy Stilo, he brought a good mate of his, which is a multi-platinum selling artist, R&B artist, from a band called MMA.
Yeah,
Cool T. They made this tune called "I Got a Little Something," was the soundtrack to Bad Boys the film. It went 1995 released, the year I was born, and it went. I think it was platinum. I think it was like #1 UK, #1, #2 worldwide, and then it had the #1s in like Germany and other places. It was a big tune. He ended up hitting me up the next day after the rave, and he was like, "Yo, bro, I'd really like to get into the studio with you. I wanna sort of try get into this drum and bass thing." So I was like, "Okay." And at the time, like people were sort of doing that little remixing and doing all the old tune remixes. So I was like, "Bro, let's just remix your old tune." So I sent that to a producer friend of mine, Kenji. Bro, he remixed it in like 18 hours.
Wow.
He had the beat in my inbox, boom. And he was like, let's do it straight away. And then I sent it to Cool. He was like, wow. So we ended up remixing this. Well, it's like a recreating it. We didn't essentially remix it because he's on the tune. So
Yeah, he's on the tune as well, right?
So we recreated that tune. Just years and years planning back and forth of what roadmap we wanted to take and what label to go with and who would take it. He had to speak to the original writers because we used the hook, and he didn't write the hook. It was written by a guy called Dennis Inglesby, which is like a big music writer in the industry. And yeah, so just getting that was off the okay off him, and then I don't know why I ended up randomly sending it to Dave Columbo Jenkins. He was doing these like music drop podcasts just in his attic, and he just like send me your demos in and I'll play them. If I like them, we'll have a chat about it and I'll talk about it and see what everyone thinks in the chat. So when he started doing that, I sent it to him like 3 months prior. He'd done a couple, and then I just had an email like, "Oh, we've played your tune." So he's gone on the chat, on the podcast, done it, played the tune, and then I think someone was like, "Oh, it's a Backstreet Boys tune," and he was like, "No," and then he was like, "Hang on, let's figure out who this is." So he's looked on it, Cool T, typed in Cool T from a band Emanate, and then he's gone, "Oh, bloody hell, hang on," realised this whole big thing, and then he emailed us and was like, "Right, I want to be involved in this. I feel like I've discovered this tune for you. I can take it to these labels.
Wow.
Or if you believe in my label that's just started, we'll go with you." So we ended up going with him, and he signed it, and yeah, that was about 3 or 4 weeks ago. So hopefully I end up with a #1. I'm
That's
joking.
crazy, though.
Touch wood. It goes well. Hopefully.
Speak up that.
Bro, innit? Literally, man.
That's crazy.
But it's been a long... To be fair, at certain points, bro, I was just like, should we just release it and just ask with apologies later if someone we get in trouble and stuff. But I'm so glad. Like,
patterned up, everything all mapped.
Fell into place, if that made sense. Like,
Wow. That's a lesson to be learned, isn't it? Wow.
bro,
Do things right. Do it right.
Just patience is a virtue, honestly.
And not a lot of people have them patience no more, do they?
That's what I think. I think fishing brought me patience. Just waiting to catch that big, nice fish. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's a Jimmy. That's one hell of a sign-off right there. You know? Thank you very much for joining us, brother.
Yeah.
What a vibe. Man, I've really enjoyed talking to you.
Oh, big up. No, same, bro. Honest, I've really enjoyed this building and stuff as well.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's been an eye-opener.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah?
What you can achieve, bro. Yeah, serious, man. This build, like this art, like I was saying to you, it's like an empty canvas that always could be added to.
Yeah.
It's nice in
100%.
here, bro. Literally, it's beautiful in here.
Thank you, brother.
Big up, bro.
Wicked. Nice.
There you
Killa Kela podcast outlet was our fashion service. You're right, all right? Sharing is caring. And remember, crime don't pay, but neither do they. All right? Don't talk to anyone I wouldn't. You stay lucky, people. Easy!
Don't pay for neither today.